Today, my friends, I want to just reinforce that, love your neighbor. And all sinners are those who despise their neighbor, right? And everybody hates a poor man. Even the poor man himself hates being poor. And the poor man's neighbor hates having to deal with the poor. Right? And so a poor man, he don't have any friends, and he can't even find a way to consider himself a friend. Right? So we despise ourselves. And a rich man, he has all kinds of friends. He has everything. Friends, money, fame, glory. But the man who despises his neighbor, that's the sinner. And I know it's tough to be poor and despise the rich. And it's tough to be rich and despise that poor man who comes asking for help. But the one who despises his neighbor, that's the sinner. Right? And so when we want to wonder or blame the world for the problems, what's the problems? We despise our neighbors. And God says, I'll bring a storm upon you. And the ones who have built their lives upon the rock or the foundation of God's teachings and instructions, they're the ones who are not going to be blown away. They're the ones who are going to be blessed. Right? They're the ones who find blessing in turning the heart of people from despise your neighbor to love your neighbor, to care for your neighbor, to help rebuild and to restore your neighbor. We see there in Texas a great example of how the storm, right, the water washes all things clean, creates the desire, right, suffering and affliction creates the desire to follow God's teachings and instructions. And blessed are those who do those things, right? Some people, hey, what a great opportunity to, get involved and show the community how righteous and good you truly are. There's nothing greater than to help the widow, help one another out. We've all had plenty of time and saw the storm was coming, but, nobody prepared. And isn't that how it always is? We're never prepared for when the disaster comes. And those who are prepared, they're not crushed by the disaster. They find a reason to survive, to move on, to pick up their neighbors. What's the problem in the world is we see that teaching instructions there is kind of foolishness. Foolishness. It's tough when the teachings of God are give to those who ask of you. Whoever it is. Maybe it's the rich man asking the poor man, please forgive me. Now, I have no way into heaven without your forgiveness. And the poor man says, I have no way to survive on this earth without your generosity. And in it, we need each other. In it, we come to find that in the beginning, when God was the Word and the Word was with God, we find out when the Word became flesh and dwelt with us, that the Word was life. And that life lives in all the men and women of this world. That's the life. That's the light of all people. All people. And like God says, it's a shame that I have to bring this disaster upon you in order to get you to care for each other, to love each other, to see the value in one another. And we do it only when everything's taken away. Right? We're out of electricity for 2-3 months, 2-3 weeks. Now I'm ready to get my neighbor's help. I'm ready to help my neighbor. I'm ready to engage with my neighbor. Right? And that's the thing. It's the same with the fire. Jesus comes with a winnowing fork, and he brings justice with him, and he brings fire with him, and the fire is there to burn off all the dross, burn off the houses, burn off everything you were relying on outside of God. That's what creates the despise your neighbor. Envy, strife, jealousy. These things. We always see the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. And now we look in Texas and it's all the same. Water. Drenched in water. Yet it's through the water wickedness is killed. Same in Noah's time. Everybody was warned that the water would come. And when the water came, when the door shut, the rain began to fall. And God killed all the wickedness on earth. Right? Same there in Texas. He kills our unbelief, our unwillingness to love our neighbor, to care for one another. And we see that when disaster comes, right, God comes with it. He is the spirit of all men, which cares for the well-being of all men. You know, the fire lights the light. And that's what makes America great, right? That's what makes America separated from the rest of the world, is when disaster strikes us, right? We all pull together as one man or as one people. Same in the body of Christ. We are all like one man, one body, one assembly. And what is our body and our assembly and our man waiting to do? Deliver those who are in need. We're ready and waiting, and people all across America are ready and waiting to help and do whatever they can. And that's where God is seen in the midst of the storm. Right? And those who have been shaken, those who have lost everything, those who are devastated, both emotionally, spiritually, and now physically, who are they going to rely on the most? The man who loves Jesus Christ. Okay? The man who loves Jesus Christ obeys Jesus Christ. The man who comes to deliver you, to help you, to feed you, to help you rebuild. And we all across the world in America could say, thank you for that man. And you know, when you're ready to say thank you to that man is when you're the one who needs him the most. Or she, or whoever they are. Right? And that's the thing. God gives freely. Freely to all. Right? Let us give freely as well. You know, we're not to turn away anybody who is in need. If we turn away or mock those who are in need, we're mocking their maker, our maker, God. Because God is both Father of the unjust and the just, the rich and the poor. One is rich in blessings, yet poor in spirit. One is poor in blessings, yet rich in spirit. And yet the man who despises his neighbor, that's the sinner. And it could be either man. It could be me. It could be us. Right? They despise the government and those wicked people, and that's our neighbor. Now everybody in Texas is going, wow, where's the government? Those people we despise and been talking all this crap about. Right? And so in all of it, we come to see that the United States of America is a gathering or an assembly of people who believe in the core values of Jesus Christ. We stand up for justice, liberty, happiness, and the rights for all men, both poor and rich, both unbeliever and believer. And so we stand on our morals. Right? Now here's where Psalm 13 and 14 come into play. Right? How does the Bible a reality in my life, in our life? Today's the day. Right? Today's the last days. Now, chapter 13 of Psalm says, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me? Forever?" Right? Right? Jesus Christ is Lord of Lords, King of Kings. What if Jesus Christ is the one speaking through the Spirit and he's saying to you, who thinks you're Lord and King, how long are you, O Lord, going to forget me? Forever? And God says, could I allow that to be possible? I will bring a storm. I'll come to you in a burning bush. I'll come to you in a pillar of cloud or a pillar of fire. You can't ignore the elephant in the room forever. And so he says, how long will you hide your face from me? Right? Where people, evildoers, are always hiding and doing things in secret. We're always despising our neighbor in the depths of our heart. Right? I know a lady who works at the local corner store or grocery store or whatnot, convenience store, and she'll tell you, when you work there in that place, you see just how jaded everybody is. You see the truth of how your community really is, and it's how they treat the servants, right? Because everybody who works at the corner store is like one step from homeless, and you dog. Yet not everybody's like that, but you get to know your entire community and you get to see the truth. Everybody's upset, and everybody despises their neighbor, right? Cowboys despise the man walking in tattoos, and the man walking in tattoos despises the gay guy, and the gay guy despises husbands and wives and the families and all of it. We despise everything. But who's the sinner? Well, sometimes we're the worst enemy. Sometimes it's us not looking for Jesus. And so Jesus comes in the storm. How long must I take counsel in my own soul and have sorrow in my heart all the day? We see Jesus Christ hanging on the cross as an effect or as an atonement for our sins. And he's saying, how long are you going to ignore the laws and the statutes and morals? And you're going to wait until the storm comes and you're completely unprepared? And who's hurting the most? God. God. How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? Right? And look at the devil or the enemy. Look what they're, God. This is one of your kids. Look at what he's doing. God. This devil's accuser of the brotherhood and always bringing to God our sins. Look, God, this guy worships me and he's one of yours and gloating. Right? There's no greater joy that would come to the devil as to be able to take you into that furnace where it never ends. Pain and suffering. Look at the pain and suffering in this world. Yet, by God's grace and mercy, it does end. the evildoers, right? We're all happy when Hitler and the Nazi Party and the Germany was destroyed, right? And the evildoers died because they can't do evil anymore. And the whole world happy. Happy. And all the believers, when they die, they're completely happy. Right? Because they get to be with Christ. And the reaper and the sower, they're happy together. And if the gates of hell are opened to Jesus Christ, how much more open are our hearts and minds? You know, we can't hide from God. He says, "Consider and answer me, O Lord, my God. Light up my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. Lest my enemies say, I have prevailed over him. Lest my foes rejoice, because I am shaken." Jesus Christ chose you, and he knew who you were. And yet he chose you anyway. Right? Because if Jesus Christ loses one, that one, Satan would gloat over him. Look, I don't care, I got one. And Jesus says, whoa, how could I do that? How could I allow Satan to gloat over me? How could I allow the power of Satan to gloat over Jesus? The power of death. See, my faith isn't in my ability to stop sinning. My faith is in Jesus Christ who overcame death. The complete power of Satan, the fulfillment of Satan's power was right there in death. The wages of sin is death. And yet Jesus overcome that. And my faith is because he did, so shall I. Because he's in heaven, I'm in heaven. And if I'm in heavenly realms, seated at the right hand of God, isn't God seated in earthly realms? Right here with us, with you, with me, with the people of Texas? Isn't God in the midst of the storm? And we say, where is God? God's the loving force that's laying down, killing unbelief. It's putting death to despise my neighbor. Now you gather 100,000 people in a great big room and you come to find out all people fart. It might just antagonize the problem. And so we should all be willing to relieve that problem. Be a part. I don't think now is the time to sit back and wait for the government to do. When we the people are the people, which makes America great. And if we can all call ourselves Americans, what's stopping us from all of us calling ourselves the sons of God? It says, I'm not shaken, but I have trusted in your steadfast love. What if this is Jesus Christ speaking to us? I wasn't shaken when Satan come talking all that crap about you guys. So I sent a storm so big I wiped the whole town out because I had faith, God said, in your steadfast love. I knew you'd come together. I knew we would expose the works of Satan and then allow his works to be washed away in the water. And God, the work of God would prevail. He says, my heart shall rejoice in your salvation. Salvation of Jesus Christ. We're all one member in the one body. And all of us rejoice in the salvation of Jesus Christ. It was wonderful that God would choose me to be called his son and give me eternal life. And despite all the pain I caused him, he gave that to me. And now that I see others in pain, I will share with my Lord, right? We could share in the suffering. So that way all men may be saved. I will sing to the Lord, because he has dealt bountifully with me. Right? It's no greater blessing than to give. Everybody there in Texas who's lost everything, trust me, that they're saying, I wished I was the one giving and not the one who's lost everything, needing to receive. Yeah, God has blessed you. And with all this great abundance, man, and there's no greater joy than if those people are sitting there in a spot where they're teetering on hope to hear the singing of the angels of God. Right? Blessed is he who trusts in the Lord. Here comes your Savior. Right? Right? Those who believe, those who love Jesus. He says, the fool says in his heart, there is no God. That's what the fool says. There's no God. They are corrupt. They do abominable deeds. There is none who does good. Right? What's the problem with the world? This. No one does good. They are all corrupt. Right? You can allow your bitterness to grow for the government, or you can be the person, right? See this guy, I was talking to this guy, and, all them Catholic priests are molesting children. And it's like, yeah, man, you're right. And if you, who hates evil, was the priest, right? Well, would you be the guy giving little suckies after work to all the little boys? Or would you be an honest, great priest? And it's amazing how you're not the priest, but boy, you're sure bitching about the priest. Or in other words, what's stopping you from being the guy that you want everybody to be? Why aren't you the priest? Is it because God didn't choose you, or because you don't believe you're worthy, or you just want to bitch about what they're doing? And I'm not justifying anything they're doing, and that's why I'm here. Is that, yeah, let's stop listening to the liar, to the abuser, to the perpetrator. And let's be a part of the body of Christ. The body of Christ, Jesus Christ, isn't a child molesters. And if we hate evil so much, we're so willing to expose it, why don't we become the person we wish they would be? Instead of bitching about the government, why don't we be the help that they need? Now, let's go on. He says, the Lord looks down from heaven on the children of man to see if there are any who understand. Is there anyone who understands? He says, when I return, I'm going to seek out faith. Faith is righteousness, and anything we do righteous or for righteousness, that's of God. And we do that because we are of God. The storm comes, and the light shines. In the midst of darkness. Is anybody seeking after God? Right? And I'm not talking about George Washington. You know, that guy in God We Trust, George Washington. Seek God within your heart, within yourself. Or am I the one despising my neighbor? They have all turned aside. Together they have become corrupt. There is none who does good, not even one. None. See, we all see the problems of the world, and we know who's creating the problems. But no one does right. No one does good. Right? Not one. We've all turned from God. Have they no knowledge? All the evildoers who eat up my people as they eat bread do not call upon the Lord. Right? Do they? He's asking a question. Have they no knowledge? All the evildoers who eat up my people as they eat bread. Right? Are we looking for a way to create customers? Or and that's the thing. We follow across America, paying our insurance payments, right? Even us in Colorado, where there's never disasters, we pay in, and now that there's trouble in Texas, right? Well, where did all our money go? Well, it goes to the people in Texas, right? But, that might cut into my profits. Now, how many of you guys are thieving and stealing? The whole 400,000 plus people have lost everything, and we're going to go out and make sure nobody's stealing. Because every dollar, these insurance people, you want to fight. Your fight is coming. It's really tough to get back on your feet, to have everything rebuilt. Especially when we're depending on the people who thrive on disaster, on your disaster. Right? And it's not paying out. They thrive on not paying. Not paying. And so we know. Same with the government. We know government does the least it can do. Expects the most, but puts out the least. So who are we going to depend on? Here's the thing: is now that the storms washed everything away, where are we going to find our strength? Where are we going to find our hope? Where are we going to find our salvation? Right? He says, there they are in great terror, for God is with the generation of the righteous. You would shame the plans of the poor, but the Lord is his refuge. Right? Nothing's going to overcome God's will. Even though the government and the insurance companies, they come to steal, they come to take, they come to destroy. And your hope, your faith, your future, right? But all those who take refuge in the Lord, they will not be put to shame. Everybody who comes together assembles together for the greater good of their community, for their neighbors, those who lay down the want to despise their neighbor, they will find refuge. Oh, that salvation for Israel would come out of Zion, right? Zion, the city where David lives, David dwells. That's heaven. Where are we? Sitting at the right hand of God in heavenly realms with Jesus Christ. All right? And this is where all the people's hope is. That salvation would come out of Zion. That salvation would come out of our free, willing desire to love each other. And what brought that desire? The storm, the calamity, the affliction, the pain, the suffering, the grieving. When the Lord restores the fortunes of his people, let Jacob rejoice, and let Israel be glad. Right? That's the thing, is we nation of Israel are scattered throughout the world. The people of Israel live in the United States of America. The people of Israel live in South America, Europe, Asia, in every island and in every place. Right? We have been grafted in to the vine. Wherever the vine is, there are the branches, and where the branches are, you see the fruit. The fruit of God's Spirit. Where do we find the fruit of God's Spirit? In the midst of the storm. Right in the middle. Like Jacob, the heel grabber. Everybody who was putting their faith and love into their homes and money and stuff and toys. Everybody lost everything, both rich and poor. The heel grabber. Right? Let him rejoice. Let him rejoice. For God is gracious to the ungrateful and to the grateful. Jacob, right? Also, not just heel grabber. He had to work for his blessing. Right? God gave him his mother a premonition. Your son, you have 2 nations in your tummy. And the eldest, the firstborn, is going to be the servant, right, of the younger. And Jacob wanted to be that firstborn. He wanted to be the servant. Right? Grabbed onto Esau's heel. And they were born at the exact same time. Can't be first when we're twins, and can't be first if my arm is attached to your leg. Right? Came out at the same time. Jacob was blessed. Right? The kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Israel is going to be handed over to you, Jacob. And you and your descendants, your children, are going to rule over it. And for the next 70 years, he tried to prove to himself he was blessed. And he was. Right? He wrestles with an angel, and the angel says, "What's your problem with me? You're wrestling with me. I'm not letting go until you bless me." And God had blessed him. You wrestle with men and God. With men and angels. Right? Okay, you're blessed. Finally. I believe it. So let Jacob be glad. Those who love to work, those who love to prove through works, their salvation is there. It's good. Let them rejoice. Here's something to do. Right? Let the reaper and the sower be glad together. Right? Satan comes to destroy everything. And in the destruction, God finds his joy. Because in all of it, the storm destroyed the will to despise their neighbors. And you see everybody saving everybody and carrying everybody out of the water. White man, black man, Indian man, all men working together to help one another. And so the worst the devil could do is send us to God. And when we get to God, there's nothing but gain. Let all rejoice and be glad. Let all rejoice and be glad. Right? Let me leave you with a few more words. O Lord, who shall sojourn in your tent? Right? Who could walk in the tent of God or the flesh of God? Only Jesus, the Christ. Right? Who could represent you, God? Who shall dwell on your holy hill? Here's the answer. He who walks blamelessly and does what is right. God says this is the one whom I find my delight in. This is the one I chose. This is the one in whom I love. He says, he who walks blamelessly and does what is right and speaks the truth in his heart, who does not slander with his tongue, who does no evil to his neighbor, nor takes up a reproach against his friend. Right? It's Jesus. There's no evil to his neighbor. And every one of who on earth is good. Not one. Who did he come to save? Those who he lived with, my neighbors. And every one of them were evil. Not one. Not one. And Jesus says, be like me. Who is that God loves? Speaks truth in his heart. This is between me and God when I'm in my room and nobody knows me and God are talking. But who can speak the truth? He does not slander with his tongue, does no evil to his neighbor, nor takes up a reproach against his friend, in whose eyes a vile person is despised, but who honors those who fear the Lord, who swears to his own hurt and does not change. God, same today, same yesterday, same forever. No matter what form I come to, we don't know what really Jesus looked like. He was ugly. He was despised. He was the kind of guy that when you looked at him, you said in your own heart, if there's a fool on earth, he's it. Doesn't matter who God comes to us in what form. It's all the same. Love is love. Right? No reproach against his friends. Right? No greater love than a friend to lay down his life for his friend. Jesus says, and I did it before the creation of the world. He said, I knew you were a sinner, and yet I chose you anyway. I knew you despise your neighbor, and I still chose you. Because I also knew in the time of calamity, your love would shine in the midst of darkness. How did he know? Because Jesus Christ is the life of all men. He's the life of all men. And he is grace, and he is truth, and he is more grace and more truth. Moses gave us a law, gave us a set of rules. But God gave us, Jesus Christ gave us grace and truth. The laws create a division. The laws create the will to despise your enemy. You have heard. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Hate your enemy. Right. But it says, I say to you, love as I have loved you. He says, who swears to his own hurt and does not change, who does not put out his money at interest. That's Jesus. I come with the riches of heaven and the treasures of God, and with them I purchased you, and I haven't and will not charge you interest, for the word of God says, come. Why spend your money on things which cannot save you? But come, those of you who are thirsty. It's free water. Come, those of you who are hungry, for you have access to the tree of life. The man who loves his neighbor is a tree of life. Doesn't put out his money at interest, and does not take a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things shall never be moved. Jesus Christ shall never be shaken, and he's in an unshakable place. Right? The world may be shaken, the heavens may be shaken, but my faith will not be shaken. My hope will not be shaken. Why? Because the steadfast love of God is in the midst of the righteous. And the righteous are in the midst of darkness. In the middle of the storm. There you'll find him. As he said, seek me and you shall find me. See you next time.
I can hear the angels singing songs of heaven touching earth. I can hear his mother crying. She's been shown her baby's worth. And hallelujah, and hallelujah, and hallelujah, amazing love. I can see his father praying for the strength to raise his son. I can see the wise men kneeling as they adore the chosen one. Alleluia, 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 amazing love. Alleluia, 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 amazing love. Where there is doubt, there is faith surrounding. Where there is sin, there is grace abounding. Where there is darkness, his light is astounding. Hallelujah, 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 amazing love.